and we're joined now by the voice of Husker men's basketball, Kent Pavelka. Kent, thanks for joining us this morning. How are you?
Good, Ravi. How are you doing, man? Is Damon there too?
Yeah, what's up, legend? How are we doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Oh, my head's above water. It's always a good morning, man. We kind of hit the trifecta with some huge personalities, so why not let you get it kicked off, man? This has to be good for you, man. You've hung in there, the eternal optimist, man. Are you packed?
Well, pretty much. Yeah, just about. I've got, I'll be going over it with a fine-tooth comb here because I plan to stay. But I got to say, Ravi, I knew back in the day when I was in the football booth that Damon eventually would get honorable work. So, I'm proud of you, man.
Awful early on a Tuesday, KP. Awful early, buddy.
Ken, it's funny you bring that up because I literally before we came on the air, I was like, I know you're this iconic voice of Husker basketball, but because of the time I grew up, every time I hear you, I'm like, Husker football. Baby. That's my guy. Touchdown, Tommy Frazier. Yeah. That's my guy right there. So it's always a pleasure to talk to you, Kent. But I guess just let's go back to the Big Ten tournament weekend. That game in Indiana was sort of feels like a fever dream a little bit. Like there was a level of euphoria around that game as it's playing out, not just locally, but it got some national steam as well. As you're on the call for that, could you feel that energy as it's happening real time?
Oh, absolutely. No question about it. I mean, I was hypnotized. And, the interesting thing, Coach Hoiberg mentioned afterwards the next day that I don't know where his head was, because he said, I was looking around and I saw a Michigan and a Michigan State fan chest bump when Tominagi hit that half-court shot. I mean, so the entire arena, if they weren't Indiana fans, they were taken by this team. And certainly our fan base has been. I have been. I'm just a little nervous that, the bubble will burst. I hope not, because, that's kind of been reality for all time for Nebraska in this tournament. But yes, it's been a real special kind of successful season, and it's hard to put into words unless you're of a similar ilk. You know what I mean? I mean, a lot of people probably look at this and go, "Grow up, man! This is a basketball game." Well, to me, all of this reflects a relationship between. Not only, this is not just a basketball game. It represents something way bigger. And if you don't like that, tough, right? I mean, that's just where I'm at and where I've been.
Ken, you mentioned the history for all time of Nebraska getting to this point is disappointment. How much do you think, I mean, obviously sort of everyone around the program is aware of it, but how much of that do you think Fred Hoiberg and the team are actually aware of or even maybe thinking about because you almost have to acknowledge it to get over the hump, right?
Well, I don't know if you have to acknowledge it to get over the hump. You just have to play well, but you're alluding to something I think is very valid, especially with Fred. The players, they're young. You asked Damon. I mean, when Damon, you're there. You don't have to ask him. I can. But
it's a conversation. You can ask us questions too. That's fine.
Would you translate for me, Ravi? No, but even back when winning national championships in football, I think it was more meaningful for the fans and for people like me than it was the players. So certainly you guys were, you knew what was on the line, but you just don't have the mileage on you to appreciate it at the depth most of us did. And so, yes, the players are certainly aware of it, and they want to do this for the fans and for the state and accomplish something that will be bigger than just a win. But for Coach Hoiberg, it goes back to his granddad, and this guy is the salt of the earth, Fred Hoiberg.
Gosh, yeah.
if he weren't the mayor of Ames, he'd be the governor of the state. Move over, Jim Pillen.
It's interesting, KP, because we said, was this Friday or Monday? I think I said he's so free, and I was telling Ravi, I said there's so much in there. He's become a joy to listen to. He's been very good through the media talking to his players. Like, he's been really forthright. And I said to Ravi, I said, I wonder if it's because it's such a tight-knit unit. He has the freedom to he can utilize some tough love through the microphone. They respond well. He just seems locked in. Like, this has to be one of his most enjoyable years, and we've seen the most of his personality. Is there a coincidence?
No, I don't think so, Damon. I think, if you go back and if people paid attention 3, 4, 5 years ago, there wasn't this kind of focus. You just weren't paying that much attention to what he was saying. But he's just always been so honestly forthright.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no affectation with this guy. There are no glaring, personality issues. I mean, he's not a nutso coach like so many of them are. He's not angry. He's not his ego's in check. Everything you hear and listen to, let it sink in. It is what it is. And there's a man crush going on here, man. I love him. I love his family, and I just think it'd be so great if he could pull this off on Friday. He's something.
I want to go back to what you said about the fan base, because I do think, and we've talked about this for years, there's this basketball is at the frontal lobe of a lot of Nebraskans. They've just been afraid to embrace it because of the heartbreak. And there are so many Nebraska fans. I likened it to when you guys were at the Big Ten tournament. I remember coming out of the tunnel in '94, and when we first heard the Nebraska crowd in Miami, it did something. It was like, oh my goodness, right? This is what everybody talks about. This is no longer a road game. And and you can hear, the parabolic mics and stuff. You can see the fans that were in Minnesota, and you guys are on that ridiculous run, and you're like, see, these are the people that have long, suffered, if you will, but have gone through it, wanted to be big fans. Now they can proudly say, hey, listen, we may have something. There's this symbiotic weird thing between the state of Nebraska, its basketball fans, and this program. What do you think it is? Because it's there.
Oh, man,
it's there.
You just put into words what I've been trying to say for 50 years. There's a connection between. Well, first of all, what I said a while ago, I think is valid, and that is that you can misunderstand, misconstrue this conversation, and just brush it off as a couple of two. I don't know, Ravi, you're all blue, but two.
Listen, hold on, Kent.
Equal opportunity offender. Get him, KP.
I'm not going to offend you. I just tell truth here. But you're good. You're good.
Listen, I want Nebraska basketball to do well too. I grew up.
This is more than just a game. This thing. This, as Coach Osborne once said, this thing that we have concocted for ourselves. I think that's
memory.
The biggest quote I ever heard.
Great memory.
In a nutshell.
Oh my!
Putting in a nutshell what Nebraska athletics is to its fans. But it is. It's a sense of community. It's a connection of unashamed parochialism. Husker athletics is about, for us, the spirit, human spirit. The need and the desire to connect with each other through common cause. It's emblematic. It's not a game. It is a thing that's hard to define. But I think yes, we together. There's a spirit here that is beyond the surface, and we just vicariously share the experience of what happens on the football field or what happens on the basketball floor. So Call me crazy, probably am, but that's what I see.
We're talking with Kent Pavelka, play-by-play voice of your Nebraska men's basketball team, who's taking pot shots at one of us here. That's fine. No, Kent. I found myself thinking a lot the last few weeks about, if I had told you or myself or whoever 2 years ago that Nebraska basketball would be in the place that it is today, I would have had a really hard time believing that. As you've seen it up close and personal, obviously they've changed the way they've recruited, they've changed their coaching staff, they've changed a lot of things. But if you had to really narrow it down, what would you say is the biggest difference between those first few years of the Fred Hoiberg era and the last two when we've really seen this thing take off a little bit?
That's a great question. Do you want a long, convoluted answer? Or
Absolutely.
You have unique insight. The floor is yours.
Okay, I got one word for you: culture. That's the answer. It's a whole different culture, and it's a 180 from what it was those first couple of years. And there are a lot of reasons it was that way for those first couple of years. Now, let's not put the cart before the horse here. I don't think this team's getting to the Final Four. Mm-hmm. Got to get over that hurdle on Friday, and that's going to be hard. And I suppose that the bandwagon will empty out to a great degree if they don't win it. And you just call this whole thing folly. But still, regardless of whether they win or lose, what you posited there is just as valid as it can be. It's been a total wholesale change in terms of what this thing is, and it's all about the change of culture.
Do you have something in kind of your head that you think, Coach, they've got to do scout, obviously he's got time to prepare for a team that gets on the glass the way that A&M does. They don't shoot the three very well. They give up a ton of threes. Is there some sort of, hey, it's a little bit like this? Or do you like the matchup kind of as it is based on their strengths, Nebraska's weaknesses? How are you kind of looking at the matchup in its totality?
Well, I'd love to be a mouse in the corner and listen to the coach and Nate Linzer as they get ready for this thing, because, you get in the weeds, Derek, Damon, with X's and O's with football and talk over a lot of people's heads. And I do, they do that all the time when I'm privileged to be in a film session. So there's that going on. Mm-hmm. But in essence, the bottom line is real simple: just defensive rebound. If Nebraska can keep those guys off the glass to a reasonable degree, I think it will. That'll be the key to the win, because I think the Huskers are going to be able to get shots. I think they're going to be able to on the offensive end, and if they can get defensive rebounds, push it a little bit. But the key will be to frustrate them by holding them, to one shot. If it's the opposite of that, then there's trouble. We've seen that time and time again. They are like Rutgers on steroids, Illinois on par with Illinois in terms of their ability to just punish you with offensive rebounds. It's
interesting you mentioned Nate, and he's one of Nebraska's better kept secrets. He's in Omaha all the time. And Fred's staff, and it's as a whole, just his ability to kind of turn it over and hit the ground running. They become very defensive minded. That staff doesn't get enough credit, does it? It's pretty cool that you mentioned Nate by name, because he's fantastic. I messaged him the other night. He responds, it's X amount of time in the morning. I'm like, just good, solid people doing good, solid things, man. It's kind of a microcosm of this staff, isn't it?
It is. And not casting aspersions on anybody in the rearview mirror. Doc Sadler is one of my best friends, and he was a treasure for all those years as the head coach and when he was assisting Fred. And I'm not, let's don't forget Adam Howard and Ernie Ziegler and Luca and Kurt Joseph, the strength coach. This is a great group, and it's been a joy. It's been a joy this last year. It's been a joy all these years, really. This program has not been awful at all. I mean, they've been very competitive. I can give you a list of 50 names of guys and 25 Hall of Famers who've come to Lincoln and walked out of there with their tail between their legs. So I mean, there've been good teams, no great teams, but this thing coming up here Friday is going to be a big one. I'm just afraid of it because I don't want to walk away with a loss again. You know, like I own it somehow. You know, that's which is
you're emotionally
that's the best part is we all own it, right?
You get a pass, KP. I mean, you've seen it, you've been there, you've done it, you're invested, you love it. Like, I almost feel like, I hate to say deserve because I know you probably wouldn't, but you could at least say you've earned it, right?
Well, I don't know. I've just done what I do, and no, I haven't earned anything. I've gotten exactly what I've gotten exactly what I've put into it. You know, it's been joyful, but it would be nice. It would be nice.
All right, Ken, I got a request for you for the broadcast this weekend. Can we get like an obscure walking in Memphis line somewhere? Like, you can't say walking in Memphis, but somewhere.
Your Jake's rapport is so good. You guys are unbelievable.
I need like an obscure line for Mark Cohen's walking in Memphis. Can you do that for me?
Yeah, I mean, look, we've got till Friday. I need all the material.
Stop.
Maybe I'm just tossing it out. Listen, I'm not a play-by-play guy, so I'm just saying maybe it's like, hey, Nebraska's dancing shoes are blue suede this time or something. I gotta know, just something like that.
Well, you know what? I got a little sheet going here with a few ideas. So,
and it's great too. Why I like it, and sometimes I'll do the radio broadcast. I've got it down to a science with the pause.
You sync them up.
I can sync them, and I've talked about this, so it's not just because I'm talking to you, KP. But you and Jake, you have like these little funny back and forth, and then all of a sudden you can immediately snap back into the game. It's like it's you doing this. You can't command that. It just has to be something that evolves, man. Do you like Jake and his ability to kind of play off you? It's pretty cool to hear.
Yeah, thank you, Damon. And he'll be happy to hear that. We have a good time together, and it's a great fit. He's a wonderful human being, and I love him as a broadcast partner. You know, it's just a lot of fun, and I hate to see the end of the season come, but maybe Friday won't be the end. You know.
Yeah, think positive.
Let's get some W's. It doesn't have to be the end of the season.
I just want to see that arena taken over with Husker fans if they get to the if the weekend.
Southwest flights are any indication, they're all going to be there already.
Yeah, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, KP.
I hope so. It's kind of like Christmas when you were like 9. You know, you want the bicycle, and then you don't get it. You know, that's what I'm afraid of.
Maybe you'll get a big wheel instead. That's even better, right?
There you go.
Thanks, KP.
Ken, we appreciate you.
Safe travels.
Hey,